Well, good morning. I was reading a story the other day, and I appreciate Rocky's song today because it kind of ties in a little bit with the lesson of how we live our lives. But I was reading a story the other day about these two commuters who were driving to Nashville on I-24. Now, I know y'all have been on I-24, and you know how pleasant a drive it is. Well, they were headed to work, and there was some kind of a little mix-up somewhere along the way, and it caused the traffic to back up just slightly for a few miles. Y'all have been there. You know what I'm talking about. Well, one of them was getting angry and frustrated, and bumper to bumper, back. You know how it is, back and forth. And she had, one of them I think was a woman, and the man, they were in there together, and she was talking to some of the other drivers by sign language and saying things and just on and on. The other driver was in the same situation, and he thought, well, you know, at least I got a car. At least I have a job to go to. So he turns up his music and listens to something that's soothing and comfortable for him, and they finally make it to work. And their cubicles have to be just side by side, and the angry one sits down and then huffs and puffs and just mumbles, and you know how you're just frustrated. And the other guy, he comes in all humming and whistling and just happy and sits down, and she says, how in the world can you be happy and joyful coming through that road? He said, I chose to be. I chose to be happy. I chose to be joy. There's a difference. You can be happy. A lot of things that happen, happiness is more of a feeling that we get. We're happy. That's a feeling. But joy, having joy, is something that you choose to do. Y'all know my routine. I don't do the PowerPoint, but I do have some men that's going to read for me for my PowerPoint. So, will you come up here and read just for me, please? He'll be reading from Philippians 4:4.
Rejoice in the Lord always. Again, I will say rejoice.
Thank you. When Paul wrote that, he was not sitting at the beach under the umbrella. More likely, he was shackled and chained in jail. Think of the worst place that you've ever been in your life that you got stuck in there for a few moments. Was it a flat tire on the side of the road? Or was it a broken heart? There was something that's going on. What happened? How do we have joy through that? How did he have joy through that? Because he chose to. He chose to have joy because of what it says. And it almost leans to that it's a commandment. It's a commandment to be joy. It's a commandment because God gives us the joy. That's what we're looking at today. What do you do to get your joy? Where do you get your joy from? You have to choose to be joyful. We choose that because it's not something that we feel. It's something that we enjoy. It's something that we do. There's all kinds of things that we can get joy from. But God can give us the joy that we seek. So joy is not a choice. I mean, joy is a choice, but not the feeling. That's what we're going to today. It's a choice, but not a feeling. You could say that's our number one. If I do a PowerPoint, that'd be my number one slide that would show that. Can joy be the strength in our struggles? Can we get joy from strength from our struggles? Kevin, come up here and read yours, please, for me. He'll be going from Nehemiah chapter 8, verse 10.
And do not be grieved, the joy of the Lord is your strength.
Do not be grieved. You know, when Nehemiah was there, they were looking at all the people had, well, the wall wasn't terrible. But through that, they found he was able to find joy in getting people together, having a connection. And that's the same way that we do when we assemble together. Many times it's not what we say up here. I was talking to a couple of people earlier about this. If this is truly the words that come from the mouth of God that spoke, if those scriptures are from him, that we know that they are, because it says every word is breathed through him, how can I, as somebody he created, speak any better than what he's already written? It's impossible. I cannot outsay, I cannot out-illustrate what God has already put before us. I can't do that. But the whole New Testament is about being together. Every instance that was going on, there was people together, making connections. Because you can't do it on your own. You cannot do this on your own. Many people try. Many people isolate themselves. Oh, I'll get this figured out. I'll do something about it. Don't forget that Jesus picked 12 to go with him. He did not do it alone. Even at the cross, he had 2 thieves beside him. We don't do this alone. So that's where we get our strength, by strength in numbers. You know, you've always heard the thing where you take a twig, you can break it. Put a couple, 2 or 3, you can break it. You put a bundle of twigs together, you can't break it. Because there's strength in numbers. And by getting that, that's where we get our joy. It's being around people that are joyful. Being around people that express that and want to be that. It's togetherness that we get. Sometimes just being here together is what helps us to get or to bring joy to our lives. To see that person that we haven't seen since last week or a couple of weeks who's been sick, we see them and we get joyful. I'm so glad you're here. I'm joyed about you being here. I'm joyful about that. The last scripture that I'm going to read for you just for a moment, well, it won't be the last one, I'm going to read this one here, is the joy that we get, like when Paul was in prison, that was preparing him for the trials and all the things that he had gone through prior to that, all his travelings, all the things he did, the joy that he got from God, knowing God was in control was his joy. And that was able to give him the strength and be able to get him prepared to go through that. Chandler, come up here and read yours, please. He's going from James chapter 1, 2, and 3.
Consider it all joy, my brethren, when various trials, knowing that the testing of your faith produces endurance.
Consider it joy. That's a hard one to do, isn't it? Be joyful about it. You know, I'm glad that I'll be able to suffer for God. I'm glad that I can go through this. I'm going to be joyful that it's not so much what we go through sometimes that it gets us prepared. It's just getting us prepared to go through it, because we know that all of us are going to have some trouble in our lives. We're going to have some trials. God did not say when you become a Christian, everything's going to be rainbows and roses. We're going to have some thorns and thistles to go through. And sometimes we go through those, but we have to look at it as God is still in control of our lives at the end of the day. He's the one that we need to be concentrating on, regardless of what we go through. You know, because all the stuff that Paul went through, and all the stuff that Jesus went through, he went through it because the love they had for the Father, love we have for Jesus, and for what he does in our lives. Be joyful. Be joyful that we have a pretty day outside. Be joyful that we had transportation to get here. We have food to eat. We have clothes on our back. We're in a comfortable environment, which probably over half the world does not worship in a place like this. I've seen those places. Christians see those places. Anybody who's traveled around and done missionary work outside, even in this state, we have seen where they were just worshiping in tents. So be joyful that we have this. Look for the joy that we have in all those things that God has given us, that he's granted us. If you were to take it and look at it on a ledger sheet, you know, all the positives and all the negatives. Write those down. Write everything down that God has given you and all the bad stuff. And I guarantee you that the positive is going to outweigh the negative. But we concentrate on the negative that steals our joy. Be joyful that we have those. We have that child to love at night. We have food on our table. All those things that we can pull joy from, because joy is one of those things that we need in our lives. We need to get joy. We need to reach for joy. And doing that is staying connected with each other. We have to stay connected. That's the gift that we give each other, in staying connected to bring joy in our lives, to put joy in our lives. Because we're commanded to. We have to do that. We have to feel the joy. Feel the joy of Jesus and the salvation that we have in that. As we close, I want to have Matt come up here and read something for us before we close out.
John 15, verse 11. These things I have spoken to you, that my joy may remain in you, and that your joy may be full.
Those are the words that Jesus spoke. Have joy in me. Find that joy. Find the joy. Look for it. Grab it. Go after it. Because the joy comes through Christ. Comes through knowing him. Comes through prayer. Comes through the scripture. Comes through being together. It's where we find the joy in our lives. It's where we gain that. That's our lesson today. I hope that somewhere in there that you can find something that you can grab a hold of that will help you be able to bring more joy into your life. Look for those things that you can hold on to. Look for that scripture. Look for Jesus. Look for all those things that can help us to be joyful. If you need the prayers of the church, or you need something this morning, or any time that you need some help, we're always available. At this time, we'll offer an invitation if you want to come forward as Rocky leads us in song.